Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about intermediate cornering skills. I've done a previous video in which I talked about basic cornering skills. In my mind, the way you get good at cornering is you learn the basics, then you add in the intermediate things that we're going to talk about today. And then if you want to get really good from there, the rest is just being brave. So we're going to talk about the importance of adjusting your speed before you approach the turning point, the importance of lowering your center of gravity, how to obtain traction, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the proper line that you choose in the turn, especially on group rides, because oftentimes you got somebody on your right, somebody on your left, and I know that can be very daunting. All right, let's go.
A key benefit to cornering well is maintaining momentum in order to minimize the amount of acceleration you have to do in order to regain contact with the wheel in front of you. Let's remember that too many hard efforts between turns will ultimately deplete your energy. Now, a couple of safety tips before we actually jump in. Number one, know or scan the road ahead. Number two, know the wheel you are on. And number three, and probably most importantly, because it may not be safe for you to take your hands off the handlebar to point out hazards, audibly call out hazards such as car up, gravel, whole right. Now, when it comes to adjusting your speed, a lot of that depends on the type of ride, the speed of the group, and the sharpness of the turn. There are a number of things that you can do to adjust your speed. Maybe the most obvious being just simply stop pedaling. This is usually enough to get you at the desired speed. You can also feather your brakes if you feel you need to slow down even further. Feathering your brakes is simply applying a small amount of pressure to one of your brake levers to help you control the speed even further. Now, keep in mind, we're not trying to stop, we're trying to adjust our speed. So you don't need an exorbitant amount of force on your brakes that you would employ if you're trying to stop. The other thing that you can do is air brake, which is simply lift your body up a little bit, allow your chest to catch some wind, and this also has an effect of starting to break your momentum a little bit. Now, how much you slow down depends on what the group is doing. You need to be in sync with the group, not too much faster, not too much slower. Try to match the speed of the group and those around you. Next would be lowering our center of gravity. Lowering our center of gravity helps in carrying speed, and it also helps in us having traction. Now, if you're riding in the hoods, simply bend your elbows, bring your chest towards the bar, but keep your head up where you can continue to see what's going on ahead of you. Now, if you decide to get into the drops in order to lower your center of gravity, make sure you can still reach your brake levers, because this is very important. We need to have full control of the bike. And speaking of traction, when we're turning, especially at high speed in group rides, keep in mind that what you're doing is you're leaning the bike, not turning the handlebar. We employ more lean for higher speed, less lean for lower speeds. When leaning the bike, always make sure that the outside pedal is pointed down, inside pedal is up, but also the inside knee is pointed towards the center of the turn or the apex of the turn. This helps you to gain more traction, but it also gives you the added benefit of helping you to slow down a little bit because your leg will catch some wind, which also employs a little bit of air braking. Now, in situations where I'm carrying a lot of speed into a corner and I need maximum traction, I put a lot of pressure on that outside pedal. I mean, it has the effect that it's almost like I'm standing on the outside pedal so hard that it feels like I'm literally raising my butt up out of the saddle. Not quite, but pretty close to doing that. Now, while on the subject of traction, it should be mentioned that braking mid-corner reduces grip and causes the bike to not want to turn and really kind of like go straight. I mean, if you have to, you have to, but that's why adjusting your speed is mentioned first. Conversely, pedaling mid-corner gives you grip or traction. Now, only do so as you're coming out of your lean and you're certain that the inside pedal will clear the ground and not strike it. Lastly, we've got to talk about the proper line. Well, in an ideal scenario, we would start wide, clip the apex, and then drift wide again. But in the real world, we have to think about cars, road safety, and other cyclists. In group rides, the line and speed is largely dependent on what the people around you are doing. Hopefully, it is safe and efficient, and you can match it. What I do is I use my peripheral vision. I try to match the pace of the group. I watch who's on my inside and give them an awful lot of consideration. Or if I'm on the inside, I watch the person who's on the outside and I try to give them as much consideration. Hope you like this red hat. I like this red hat. All right, guys, that's it. Intermediate cycling skills for cornering in a group ride. Adjust your speed, lower your center of gravity, choose the right line, get traction. I think I covered them all. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this, if you have additional tips or what your thoughts are about what I shared. Really love to hear back from you. Couple things coming up with the channel real soon. Last weekend, I was actually in Central Florida. I did a point-to-point 108-mile ride from Winter Park, Florida to Tampa. And, you know, I figured out that the only way for me to enjoy being on the bike for more than 4 or 5 hours is to go point to point. And I had a blast. I've got a lot of coverage on it. We have a lot of really beautiful footage through some nice country roads. And I'm going to put together a video that shows a little bit about the ride, a little bit about the fellowship with the people, because to me, that was the best part of the ride. And I should have that up on the channel. I'm not going to commit. Real soon. The other thing that's on deck with the channel is my Cafecito ride, which was done about 3 weeks ago. That should be dropping real soon. And one more thing, I have a video that has been very successful on the channel. It's called, I think it's called Why I Stopped Riding Carbon Frames. Anyway, it's got a bunch of views, and that video triggers people. And it has to do with one summer when I decided that I was just going to ride my steel frames, what I learned as a result, and me comparing the ride feel of my steel frames to my carbon performance frames. And for some reason, people get really dug in both camps. Some steel people are like zealots. They hate carbon. And some carbon people are zealots. They hate steel. Or like if you were to say steel is real, they get apoplectic. So I'm going to be doing an update about that bike, my Bianchi Pinella, because I always tweak that bike a little bit, but to this day, it's still my favorite bike to ride. Yes, the Colnago V3 RS is a better performance bike, especially for fast group rides. But there's just something about riding that Pinella that I really, really love. And one of the things that I found is that there are a lot of people who really come down hard on steel that have never ridden quality steel. Which I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Conversely, there are a lot of steel people who come down really hard on carbon who have never really ridden quality carbon. So I don't know. I get it. I can tell you because I guess it's a privileged position that I'm in to be able to ride both. They're both awesome. So chill, folks. All right, guys, that's it. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support you're giving the channel, the love that you're showing by watching these videos, by liking, commenting, and subscribing. As always, our aim here at the channel is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed.